In the heart of the city stood St. Agnes Hospital, its towering presence casting a shadow over the surrounding buildings. Its corridors echoed with the footsteps of nurses and the moans of patients. But there was one corridor, long abandoned and sealed off from the rest of the hospital, where the whispers of the past lingered. Nurse Evelyn had heard tales of this corridor since she started working at St. Agnes. It was said that decades ago, a series of mysterious deaths had occurred there, patients passing away under inexplicable circumstances. Rumors swirled of a malevolent presence haunting the corridor, a darkness that preyed on the sick and the vulnerable. One fateful night, Nurse Evelyn found herself assigned to the night shift, tasked with checking on the patients in the older wing of the hospital. As she made her rounds, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, and she swore she heard faint whispers echoing through the empty halls. Approaching the sealed corridor, Nurse Evelyn hesitated. She knew she should keep her distance, but curiosity got the better of her. With trembling hands, she pushed open the rusted door and stepped into the darkness beyond. The air grew cold, and the whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a sinister choir. Nurse Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine as she shone her flashlight down the corridor. Faces seemed to materialize in the shadows, fleeting glimpses of the souls lost to this cursed place. Suddenly, a hand grabbed her shoulder, sending her heart racing. She spun around to find herself face to face with a figure cloaked in darkness. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light as it whispered words of despair and suffering. Terrified, Nurse Evelyn stumbled backward, fleeing from the corridor and slamming the door shut behind her. She never spoke of what she saw that night, but the memory of those whispers haunted her dreams for years to come. Story 2. The Phantom Surgeon. Dr. Marcus had always been fascinated by the history of medicine, so when he was offered a position at St. Agnes Hospital, he jumped at the chance. Little did he know that he would become entangled in a dark chapter of the hospital's past. Rumors swirled about the infamous Dr. Blackwood, a surgeon who had once practiced at St. Agnes. Known for his brilliance in the operating room, Dr. Blackwood's methods were rumored to be unorthodox, bordering on the macabre. Patients whispered of waking up during surgeries, their screams drowned out by the sound of Dr. Blackwood's maniacal laughter. Dr. Marcus dismissed these stories as mere urban legends, until one fateful night when he found himself alone in the operating room, working late to save the life of a critically ill patient. As he focused on the delicate procedure before him, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. A chill ran down his spine as he heard the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty operating theater. He glanced around, but the room was deserted. Shrugging it off as exhaustion, Dr. Marcus returned his attention to his patient, but then he saw it, a figure standing at the edge of his peripheral vision, cloaked in darkness. It was Dr. Blackwood, his features obscured by the shadows, his eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Frozen in terror, Dr. Marcus watched as Dr. Blackwood approached the operating table, his hands reaching out with an eerie grace. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, Dr. Marcus realized that he was not alone in the room. Summoning every ounce of courage he had, Dr. Marcus confronted the phantom surgeon, demanding to know what he wanted. But Dr. Blackwood remained silent, his gaze piercing into Dr. Marcus's soul. In a moment of desperation, Dr. Marcus reached for the nearest instrument, a scalpel, and brandished it like a weapon. With a flicker of movement, Dr. Blackwood vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. Dr. Marcus never spoke of the encounter, but he could never shake the feeling that he was being watched, even in the brightest of rooms. And as he continued his work at St. Agnes Hospital, he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden within its walls.